Yeah, because Alan's in the States. Good, wonderful. So 7 o'clock. Lynn. So Lynn, whose husband went to the local hospice, is saying here that yes, he did. So Lynn's husband did learn mindfulness from Gail at the hospice, and Gail's so excited about telling me about how wonderful Friday was. Yeah, fantastic. So for those of you that don't know, Gail Calthrop is a breathworks teacher who is a nurse at a hospice, and she's also now the hospice employs her as a mindfulness teacher for staff and for patients. Really fantastic service, and she does a wonderful job there. So I'll tell her that you're reporting back from your husband, Lynn. That's wonderful. Lorian, so glad to be here from sunny California. Yes, we delight in your good fortune being in sunny California. And Tracy, hi from sunny North Wales. Meg, indeed, it was wonderful on Friday. Yes, Meg was there at the workshop. It was the first time we've done a hybrid event at Breathworks where we had some of us in the room and then we were live streaming at the same time. And I think it worked pretty well. Yeah, Meg's nodding. That's good. Yeah, Sona and I arrived with a massive big wheelie bag of tech. Laptops, webcams, mics, and I think it worked pretty well. Always learning, of course. And then we've got Sabine, hi from Haarlem, Holland, a bit grey. And Jenny, it was a fabulous event. Oh, great, you were there as well. Wonderful. Okay, look, I'm going to turn the chat box off now so I don't get drawn into that because it's now 7:02. So it's time to start the meditation. So welcome everybody, and a special welcome to any of you who are here for the first time. And this is a half-hour meditation called Space to Breathe, although Sona, who sometimes leads it, he calls it Breathe to Space, which is probably equally true, equally helpful. And we've been doing it since the beginning of the pandemic, since last March 2020, roughly. I can't exactly remember when we started it. But we started it very much as a resource for the pandemic. And then it's just become a feature of Breathworks. It's lovely. And we'll keep it going. We keep it going forever, hopefully. And it's quite a highlight of my week. I really love coming to these Tuesday evening meditations with everybody. So tonight, what we're going to do is a meditation exploring the 5 B's of the breath. And I'm not sure if I've done this before on a Tuesday night, but this is a teaching that I've been developing over the last while, which is identifying these 5 areas of the body that are particularly implicated, if you like, in breathing. And if we can keep these five areas soft, then the whole body will soften and our breathing can release a little bit. So the 5 areas are the buttocks. So keeping your buttocks soft means that you're more able to yield into the chair and rest in gravity. And then the body begins to soften and release. It's the belly, because we've got the central diaphragm that moves down in our body on the in-breath and relaxes back up on the out-breath. Does that 22,000 times a day, roughly. So if we can let the belly be soft, then we're more likely for this movement to be able to express itself. If we're very gripped in the belly, then of course this movement's going to be shallow. So softening around the belly is just a good way of giving the diaphragm a little bit more space to move in the body. And then the 3rd B is the back, because the back is very involved in breathing. The ribs and the lungs are as much in the back of the body as the front of the body, which I find fascinating. With most people, if you say, where do you feel you're breathing now, we'll say here. They just think breathing happens in the chest. But we've got the lungs and the ribs, and they right around. And dropping into back breathing is naturally calming. So there's the upper back, and then Coming back to the diaphragm, which moves like this in the body. And there are at the back of the diaphragm, which is a really big sort of dome-shaped muscle that goes side to side in the body and front to back in the body. And at the back, there's some long ligaments, ligamentous attachments that go all the way down to the inside of the lower lumbar vertebrae. So every time your diaphragm moves, there's this rocking in the lower back that we can feel into. So if we can allow the whole back of the body to sort of open on the in-breath, subside on the out-breath, that can help the body release. And it's particularly effective way to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system to do with calming. So that's the third B. And then the fourth B is the base of the skull. So if we can let the base of the skull be soft, what will happen is our jaw will soften. So it's just a way into softening the jaw, just simply to release around the base of the skull. You could just do this now if you want to. Just move your sort of release into the base of the skull and let your jaw hang softly. And then the wind of the breath can flow freely through the back of the mouth on the way into the body, and then freely through the area on the way out of the body. Yeah, so base of the skull is the fourth B. And then the fifth B is the brain. This is very, very interesting. That the brain is this organ, obviously, that rests in a cradle right inside the skull, cradle of bones and a cradle of soft tissue. And there's a very subtle movement with breathing right inside the head. And you won't feel it directly. You can't feel that movement. But in your imagination, you can get a sense of your brain resting in this little cradle, and then there being this lovely rhythm. And the brain is the consistency of tofu. It's quite a sort of soft, squidgy organ. And that's also helpful because the brain can feel so solid, can't it? Even full of thoughts or worries, it's like this rock in there. But if you let it be a bit soft, soften the brain and let it just rest in this little cradle. So that's the fifth B. So it's the buttocks, the belly, the back, the base of the skull, and the brain. So in the practice now, we're just going to work our way through those areas and then open out into the whole body to have a sense of letting go of tight states and resting into more fluid and open states. Okay, so if you choose your position, you can do it lying down, you can do it sitting, you can do it standing. It's really completely up to you. The main thing is, as I always say, is that we're conscious about choosing how we're going to position the body. I think sometimes people don't pay enough attention to that in meditation. They just kind of plonk themselves down without thinking, how can I best support my body and how can my body be as comfortable as possible and yet alert. And then once you've chosen your position, beginning to settle. Closing the eyes if that's comfortable, or else lowering your gaze. And I'll lead it as if we're sitting, and if you're lying down or standing, then adjusting the instructions for yourself. Having the feet on the floor, yielding, resting, and the bottom yielding into the chair. And have the hands supported on the legs and the lap. Have your hands supported in such a way that your shoulders can release into gravity, release away from the midline of the body, and you're not holding on to your arms with any muscular effort. So beginning to arrive and settle into this position. Taking a few deeper in-breaths if you want to, and releasing and arriving a little bit more with each out-breath. Really letting the out-breath flow all the way out of the body, and then the in-breath flow back in its own time. And now allowing your breathing to find its own natural rhythm. Letting go of worrying whether you're doing it right or not. But allowing the breathing to drop deep in the body, allowing your awareness to rest inside breathing as it is for you at this time. So first of all, getting an overall sense of the whole body, the legs and the torso, the arms, neck, head. This whole body resting here. This whole body yielding up to gravity. And seeing if you can have a sense of yielding into the chair rather than perching on the chair. And receiving the support. And yielding, as I always say, yielding is different from collapsing. So there's still a quality of vitality, alertness, awareness. And yet rest, being held and settling into the chair, into gravity. Let's come to the buttocks now. So resting awareness inside the buttocks. Seeing if we can allow these to be soft as they rest into the surface, the chair or the bed. And if we rest into the buttocks, yield the buttocks, soften the buttocks. This softens the pelvic floor area so our breathing can echo right down into the lower part of the torso. Not doing anything, not making any effort, but allowing this lower part of the torso to be receptive to breathing. Letting breathing drop deep in the body. And if you've got pain or discomfort in the body, just noticing this with kindliness. But also seeing, are you contracting against the pain? Are you tensing around it? Perhaps allowing it to soften a little bit with the breathing. Breathing in a soothing breath and yielding, softening, letting go with each out breath as we rest into the chair, rest into gravity, yield. Now allowing our awareness to flow up into the whole abdomen, the whole belly. Soft part of the body between the pelvis at the bottom, the ribs at the top. Allowing this area to open a little bit on the in-breath, subside a little bit on the out-breath. Okay, we're not forcing or straining, but it's more as we rest and yield, we can soften a little bit and allow this movement to express itself. At any point the breathing becomes very disturbed or uncomfortable, you can broaden your awareness. Drop into the seat, on the chair, the feet on the floor, the hands perhaps. Sometimes it can help to imagine that you're breathing in a very big space. If your breathing's feeling tight and contracted, give it a big field. You're still in the body, but it's as if maybe your body's in a great big field. And including the chest area, lungs filling and emptying, ribs expanding, subsiding, breastbone rising and falling. This rhythm, this flow. All the time giving the body up to the chair, up to the floor, up to gravity. So it's a little bit as if stability is in the foreground and then this rhythm of breathing is taking place within that field of awareness. And allowing our awareness to slide into the whole back of the body. So bringing that to our awareness. So there's the buttocks, the lower back, the middle back, the upper back, shoulder blades, the whole length of the back and the whole breadth of the back. And seeing if breathing is showing up in some way in the back of the body. Being curious rather than expecting any particular experience. Is the lungs and the ribs and the upper back filling and emptying, expanding, subsiding? And is there any movement and sensations of breathing in the lower back? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. And resting awareness in the whole back, the whole landscape of the back as it's breathed. Now allowing our awareness to flow up through the neck into the base of the skull. So checking the position of the head. Having the head poised on the top of the spine. Releasing through the base of the skull and yet openness in the throat. Letting the jaw be soft so the wind of the breath can flow through the back of the mouth on the way in and out of the body. Another brain. Can you let your brain rest inside the head? Resting in its little cradle. It's fluid in there. Rhythm of breathing. And again, as I said, you won't feel it directly. But I always find imagining that my brain is soft and it's resting and it's this kind of fluid rhythm of breathing. I find it very, very calming. It can also be helpful to really get a sense of the head being a limb of the body. So rather than the head being separate from the body, it's a limb just like the arms and the legs, and then the brain is resting inside that limb. So the brain is part of the body. And all the time checking that you're still yielding the weight of the body up to gravity. Resting. And the face be soft. And now let's broaden our awareness to be aware of the whole body. The legs. Just resting into the chair, into the floor. The whole torso, the front, the back, the sides. Expanding a little bit in all directions on the in-breath, subsiding a little bit in all directions on the out-breath. I always like getting a sense of the volume of my whole torso opening, getting bigger on the in-breath, subsiding on the out-breath, effortless. This flow. And the shoulders and the arms and the hands falling away from the torso into gravity, resting, held. Maybe there's some echo of breathing in the arms. The neck and the head, the whole body opening in all directions on the in-breath, subsiding in all directions on the out-breath. The whole body resting, yielding into the chair, into gravity. The whole body flowing and breathing. If you've got pain anywhere in the body, just seeing if you can allow it to be soothed a little bit by this flow of breathing. Releasing and letting go again and again of contraction, of holding, of tension. And resting. In this flow moment by moment. course, you'll probably find that you keep getting lost in thoughts. That's completely normal. But every time you notice that's happened is your moment of mindfulness. And choosing to guide your awareness back inside the body, inside breathing again and again. So we can arrive in each moment in the body. Now beginning to bring this practice to a close, just letting go of any effort for a moment or two. And if you find you suddenly relax, that's telling you that you've probably been trying a little bit too hard. And bringing a tiny bit of movement into the body, fingers and toes, hands, feet, and just noticing any tendency to immediately grip around the breathing. See if we can keep the breathing soft as we begin to move a little bit. So there's this ongoing sense of fluidity. And when we're ready, we can come into bigger movements, just following what the body's calling for. But always being careful not to grip around the breathing. Opening the eyes when you're ready and bringing the practice to a close. But perhaps forming an intention to take this quality of awareness with us into whatever's coming next. So, spending a bit of time just looking at everyone if we want to. If you want to slip away quietly, that's absolutely fine. Or you could put something in the chat box about what you experienced, what you noticed in that practice. And I'll read them out so everyone can participate. You don't have to peer at the screen. It's always just so nice to look at you all. Yeah. I notice that I can take people in more when my body's more open. It's interesting. So Julie, lovely, very relaxing. Thank you for running these classes. I always look forward to them. That's really good to hear. Karen, thank you. That was great. Gerda, thank you, Vijamala, for this wonderful moment. So happy to be with all of you. Aline, I will remember to relax and soften the 5 Bs. I feel more grounded and softer now. Johanna, or maybe Johanna, very soothing, thank you. Hazel, that was very calming. Lorian, thanks for Jamala and everyone. I so much look forward to this meditation each week. It really focuses my week. And it's the morning for you, isn't it, Lorian, in California? So it sets you up for the day. Somebody, lovely soothing practice, thank you. Nikki, very relaxing. Felt the back breathing quite strongly, thank you. It's good, yeah, it's good to feel the back breathing. Annabelle, feeling grateful. Donna Marie, thank you for a beautiful meditation, so grateful. Jenny, I love tofu brain. And the flow of that practice is beautiful, thank you. Sabine, thank you. First time 5 Bs, felt very good. Breathworks is a life changer. Maria Jose, breathing into the pain has done the trick again, thanks. That's wonderful. It was at the beginning you were saying your body was on fire with pain, I think. So I'm really happy that that's dialed it down. Louise, fab, thank you. Here's a challenge. I have a pain in my arm, which seems to get worse on the in-breath. Okay. What happens on the out-breath? Perhaps you could unmute yourself and we could have a little conversation about this. Little inquiry, if you want to.
Yeah,
I would just encourage you to really explore that and maybe yielding on the out-breath and see what happens. Wendy, thank you. Very relaxing. Liz, tranquil, 5 Bs, thank you. Catherine, thank you. I have migraines, so I'm curious about the space of the skull area. My eyes feel so calm now. Interesting. Because often migraines are associated with the visual field as well, aren't they? Interesting. Yeah, so you could really explore that. Ranga, like the reminder to have stability, yielding in the foreground and the breath within it. Yeah, and I say that because I think what can happen with breathing is we get a bit sort of, when we pay attention to breathing, it's common that we start sort of tensing around our breathing, or we start over breathing a little bit. So if you just keep on resting and yielding all the time, and then the breathing taking place within that, I think it's a way of guarding against that tensing around breathing. Laurie, and hello to Martin. So Martin, it's nice. Special hello to you. Catherine, another Catherine. I have had a migraine all day. Sensing my brain as tofu was an interesting experience. Migraine feels so hard. Focusing on my less, etc. on all 5 Bs was also helpful. Thank you. Yeah, interesting. I think headaches are particularly difficult to work with mindfulness because it's all up there. So dropping to this broad body awareness can be helpful. Miriam, I love the idea of the brain being like tofu. What a great image. I also feel a little bit taller, which is a bonus. So thank you. And I noticed that I immediately sat up when I read that. And I really enjoyed the rocking in my lower back and the first time I've ever cradled my brain, feeling soothed now. Katie, the brain is part of the body. Who'd have thought? Thanks. I think that can be a very powerful reflection, because we often think head and body as being separate, but the brain is an organ of the body. VM, is your speaker on? No, it isn't. So probably someone's trying to talk to me and I can't hear them. Sorry. So if somebody was trying to talk to me, I think my speaker's on now. I've got this new speaker, which I'm trying. Lynn, thank you.
Working?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Brilliant.
This is Ollie. I just wanted to check it was working.
Okay, it is working. Thank you. Always good to do a tech test. And Lynn, thank you. Wonderful to practice with you all. Hope you are well again, Vijamala. Yes, I'm still on antibiotics, but I am much, much better. So I think I've got the right. This is my second round for this particular infection. I think it's working now, which is good. And thanks for asking. Tracy, thank you for a beautiful practice. Breathing practice really helps soften the pain. Very grateful for Breathworks. Katie, thanks for Jamala. Maria, I also have migraines and found the image of a soft brain helpful. Sophia, thank you. Lovely sit. Wonderful. Oh, that's so good to hear, everybody. And let's see if we can take this kind of dynamic, alive, soft body with us into our day or our evening, depending on our time zone. Got someone from New Zealand, so you're early in the morning. We've got Lorian and others in the States. We've got Ed in Canada. We've got people in Europe. So we're all in different time zones. But that's the challenge or the invitation to remember the 5 Bs. And what will happen is you'll forget them. And you'll find yourself all uptight at some point, and then you can remember them again. And the temptation to think, oh no, I failed in my practice because I forgot. But what I'd like to say is to tell yourselves, oh, I succeeded in my practice because I remembered when I had forgotten. So it's that remembering moment that is your successful mindfulness practice. But no one stays aware all the time. No one. You know, we all get lost in things. But then the real skill is to notice when we're lost and to just come back. Okay, so let's leave it there. I'm going to go off and have some food, and have a good week, everybody, and see you next Tuesday. Yeah. And if you want to unmute yourselves to say goodbye to each other, that's always nice.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Night,
much.
everybody.
Good night.
Jamala.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
It's good, Vidya Mala.
Thank you.